All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sefer Hamitzvot day 32, where we're continuing to do the mitzvah of benching, of thanking Hashem after we eat. V'achalta v'savata u'veirachta es Hashem Elokecha. And did you ever wonder what is in benching? So actually, there are 4 blessings. And I don't know, for some reason, something about it is like funny, but to me, I think I finally have some clarity. It's almost like when you thank somebody, go all out. Thank them for everything that they've done to you. You don't just have to say, thank you for dinner. You can also be like, thank you for opening up your home, and thank you for being so generous, and thank you for your spirit. So I think it's a little bit like that. Like we're in the thankful mode, and we are following, of course, the precepts of the wise ones before us. But okay, so let's discuss what the 4 parts of benching are. The first one is blessing of sustenance. Literally, thank you for the food. Thank you for the ability to exist. The next one is thanking for the land of Israel. There's a special blessing for the land of Israel. Next, we're thanking for blessing of Yerushalayim, and more specifically, the Beis HaMikdash. And then the last blessing is what Hatov HaMitiv, which is after a specific story that happened. So we'll talk about that. Now, each blessing was established by a different person. So Moshe is the one that established the first one just after eating, right? It's straight up biblical commandment. After you eat, say the blessing. So Moshe established that. Yoshua, who was the next leader and who led the Jews into Eretz Yisrael, into the land of Israel, he's the one that established the blessing over the land of Israel. Then David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech together, or it becomes together, established the blessing over Jerusalem. So David HaMelech was the one who conquered Jerusalem and set the stage for the Beis HaMikdash, for the Holy Temple to be built. So he established the Jerusalem part. Shlomo HaMelech, who built the Beis HaMikdash, established that part. And we basically say that without that fullness, without Yerushalayim, without the Beis HaMikdash built, and without David Malkeinu Mashiachenu, the Davidic dynasty being complete, we're not complete, and we comfort ourselves and pray that this one day happens. This is all part of the blessing. And then the 4th blessing was established years later, right? So Anshe Knesset HaGadola, the men of the Great Assembly who established our formal prayers as we know it today, including benching, they were after the first temple, after the story of Purim. So what we said about Moshe and Yoshua and David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech, this all happened before. So they established it. Anshe Knesset HaGadola based it on that. But then there was a 4th prayer that was added that they included. This is the prayer of Hatov HaMitiv. So very short, the story is that when the second Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, it was a really terrible time in our existence. It was devastating. It was like, it almost seemed like we were going to actually be wiped out. And 67 years after the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, there was a rebellion by Bar Kokhba, and who even Rabbi Akiva believed was Mashiach. He was a great Jewish leader. And for 2 years, they truly held up the rebellion. There was true independence in Israel. Some of you know about Masada, which, is thought to be the last hold down, but really there was a city by the name of Beitar. That was the last holdout that we had. And when that was destroyed and taken over, that's when Bar Kokhba was defeated. And obviously he did not end up being Mashiach. And it truly was a devastation beyond words. Nobody thought that we would come back from it. Now the Romans were so cruel. They said to the Jews, you are not allowed to, because Beitar, you could imagine, was a grave, but above ground, right? All these Jewish bodies. And the Romans said, you are not allowed to go take your bodies and bury them. So this was like just add insult to injury. And tens and tens of thousands of bodies. And years later, the Romans finally gave them permission to bury these bodies. And when they came, they didn't see skeletons, they didn't see bones. The bodies were fully intact as if they had just been murdered. And this just blew everyone's mind. And this is where the bracha Hatov HaMitiv comes from. And it's very interesting because there's a lot of things to thank God for. Like I'd much rather thank God for like keeping us alive as opposed to, oh, thank you very much, now you're letting us bury. But the message that the Jews received from that is something that we need to live on and do live on, and that's big, is because when Hashem destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, and put the Jews in exile. Like we said, we're still living in the remnants of that exile, the second Beis Hamikdash over 2,000 years ago, and we're still in that exile, and we're still waiting for that to finish and to end and to turn over. And it feels very much like God just abandoned us. That's it. He left. Goodbye. He destroyed you. Where are you? We have no idea. We don't see Hashem anywhere. But when they came back to bury those bodies and they saw that the bodies were intact, it was like a gasp moment. They realized, yes, this is miserable and Hashem put us in galus and we don't know why, but he is always with us. He's never abandoning us. That's a message they received. And it's such a powerful, and that's the only way we can live and survive this galus. And that's why there's a big blessing. And we include it in the grace after meal. So this was introduced and added after the 3 other parts were. Okay, so just to mention here, which we mentioned yesterday, that we also bless Hashem after eating just a small meal, even kazayis. That's what we call berachas me'ein hashalosh or ala mechia, basically for the 3 different types. And that is essentially a miniature version where we're blessing for the food, for Eretz Yisrael, for Yerushalayim, that it should be rebuilt. Then, of course, we also know about Barei Nefashos, which is a blessing just for kind of smaller shahakal items. All right, we'll continue this conversation tomorrow. Have an amazing day, and we're getting ready to receive the Torah. So how cool that we're already in the parsha of learning the mitzvos, and it's a great way, I think, to enter the holiday. I'm excited about it. All right, have a great day.